One day, the hands that once held their tiny fingers will tremble with age, and the silence from the ones you raised will be louder than any storm. When your own children forget your sacrifices, don't let bitterness age your soul, let grace become your final lesson to them. There's a kind of pain that words struggle to hold, the pain of raising children with love, only to grow old and feel invisible in their lives. You gave them your strength, your time, your sleepless nights. And now, in the quiet of your later years, their absence speaks louder than any thank you ever could. It's a harsh reality for many parents, being ignored by the very people you once carried in your arms. You wonder, did they forget everything I did? But this speech isn't about blame, it's about finding peace in the storm of disappointment. Because even when love isn't returned the way you expected, your worth doesn't disappear. If you're feeling overlooked, forgotten, or disrespected by your own children, stay with me. This message is for your heart. Let's walk through the pain and rise with dignity. His name was Mr. Rahman, a retired schoolteacher in his late 70s, living quietly in a small house on the edge of town. Once his home had echoed with the laughter of his 3 children. He was the kind of father who never missed a school event, always brought home sweets on rainy days, and stayed up late helping with homework even after a long, tiring day at work. He gave them everything he had. Not just money, love, time, wisdom, values. He sacrificed vacations, new clothes, and personal dreams to make sure his children had a better life than he did. Years passed. His children grew up, graduated, got married, and moved to different cities. At first, they called every week, then once a month, then silence. Now, Mr. Rahman sits alone by his window every evening, staring at the phone, hoping it will ring. Birthdays come and go without a message. Festivals pass with no visits. When he finally calls, they say, "Sorry, Baba, we're just too busy." One day, a neighbor asked him, "Don't you feel hurt being forgotten like this?" Mr. Rahman smiled softly and said, "Of course it hurts, but I didn't raise them to owe me anything. I raised them because I loved them, and I still do. I just pray they never feel the emptiness I do." When they grow old, that's the kind of heartbreak so many silent parents carry. They may not say much, but their eyes tell stories of longing, not for help or money, just a little respect, a visit, a warm conversation. This is not just Mr. Rahman's story. It's the story of millions of parents who gave everything and asked for almost nothing in return, just not to be forgotten. You were there when they had nothing. Don't forget who you are now. There was a time when they couldn't tie their shoes, when they were afraid of the dark, when every scraped knee and every tear ran straight into your arms, and you, tired, stressed, and often running on empty, never failed to show up. They had nothing, no knowledge, no confidence, no strength to face the world, and you gave them everything. You held their hands through the storms of childhood, taught them their first words, stayed up at night when they were sick, gave up your own dreams just to build theirs. You stood in the shadows so they could shine in the light, and now the roles have reversed. Now you're the one sitting alone in silence. Now you're the one waiting for a phone call that never comes. Now you're the one feeling forgotten, invisible in the very life you helped build. It hurts, doesn't it, to know that the people you gave your life to don't seem to see you anymore. But in this silence, you must remember something powerful. You were there when they had nothing. Don't forget who you are now. You are not just an old parent. You are a warrior of love, a builder of dreams, a vessel of wisdom, a soul shaped by sacrifice. Don't let their distance define your value. Too many parents reach this chapter in life and start to believe the lie that they're no longer needed, no longer important, no longer seen. But you are still you, full of purpose, full of worth, full of quiet strength. The truth is, your children may have grown, but you haven't disappeared. You're still here and you still matter. Don't lose yourself just because they lost sight of you. Remember who cooked their meals when there was no money, who comforted them when the world was too big, who stayed strong when everything was falling apart. You were the foundation, and even if they stand on their own now, they are standing because you gave them the ground. Now it's time to turn that love, the same love you gave so selflessly, inward. You must care for the one who gave care. You must honor the one who gave honor. You must love yourself, especially when others forget how. It doesn't matter if they see you right now. What matters is that you see yourself. Look in the mirror and speak to your reflection with truth. I am not forgotten. I am not unimportant. I am not invisible. I am the root that gave life to a tree that still grows. They may not always express it, but deep down your children carry your lessons, your sacrifices, your love. It's in the way they speak, the way they raise their own children, the strength they walk with. It all began with you. You are not just a chapter in their story, you are the opening line. So instead of drowning in the ache of being overlooked, rise in the power of being essential. Write again. Create again, speak again, laugh again, do the things you once loved before life became all about others. Because the truth is you still have time, you still have purpose, you still have love to give. Not just to others, but to yourself. Don't wait for anyone to remind you of your value. Be your own reminder. You were strong enough to raise a family. You're strong enough to rise, even when it feels like you're standing alone. Today, take back your reflection. Sit down and write down every strength you've developed through the years. Name the qualities you passed on, the resilience, the courage, the love, and then say this out loud. They may have forgotten, but I remember who I am. Love yourself with the same devotion you once poured into everyone else, because your story isn't over, and your worth is not tied to who remembers you, it's tied to who you've always been. Silence hurts, but bitterness destroys. Choose dignity over drama. There's a moment many aging parents never expect when the silence becomes louder than the love, when days go by without a call, when birthdays are missed, when celebrations happen without an invitation. You sit in a room full of memories but feel like a stranger in the lives you helped build. And yes, it hurts. You gave your all late nights when they were sick, hard days at work just to put food on the table. Sacrifices no one saw but God. And now, that very love seems forgotten. You replay the past in your mind. School uniforms ironed with care, meals cooked with love, stories told before bedtime. Those same children, now grown, don't seem to remember, and the silence, it cuts deeper than words ever could. You think, how could they forget? How can they ignore me? And in that pain, bitterness begins to whisper. It tells you to be angry, to shut down, to lash out, to remind them how much they owe you, to make them feel what you feel. But here's the truth: bitterness never brings peace. It only multiplies the pain. Yes, silence hurts, but bitterness destroys you from within. It changes your face, it poisons your heart, and it robs you of the dignity you deserve in this beautiful, sacred phase of life. You've already done the hard part, raising them, loving them, forgiving their mistakes as children. Don't let their adult choices now turn you into someone you're not. Bitterness will make you cold. Dignity will make you strong. Let them live their lives. And yes, it's okay to grieve the emotional distance. It's okay to cry, to feel that ache. But after the tears rise, rise with grace, rise with calm, rise knowing that your value isn't defined by how others treat you, it's defined by how you treat yourself. Dignity is not silence born from weakness, it's silence born from strength. It's the power to hold your head high even when your heart is low. It's the wisdom to choose peace over revenge. It's the light that says, I may be hurt, but I will not become bitter. Understand this: when your children grow distant, it's not always a reflection of your failure. Sometimes it's a reflection of their priorities, their distractions, or their own inner struggles. Don't carry the weight of their choices on your shoulders. Carry your own peace instead. Bitterness will build walls. Dignity builds bridges even if they take time to cross. You never raised your children to owe you anything. You raised them to live with love, respect, and values. If they've forgotten, don't remind them with anger. Remind them through your example, through your kindness, through your grace under pain. You can still be the light in their darkness, even if they've dimmed yours. Let your presence remain a place of warmth. Let your words carry softness. Let your life, even in its silence, be a final lesson in unconditional love. Because one day they will look back, maybe not today, maybe not this year, but one day when life humbles them, when they face their own silence, when they become parents themselves, your grace will echo in their memory. And they'll realize, my parent never stopped loving me, even when I stopped showing it. That is your legacy, not the anger, not the bitterness, but the calm strength of a soul that chose love again and again even when it wasn't returned. Today, take a deep breath, Let go of the weight of anger, choose dignity, choose peace, write a prayer instead of a complaint, speak a kind word to someone else who feels forgotten. Keep your heart soft because that softness is your strength. Let the silence refine you, not define you. Let your dignity do the talking, and one day they'll hear it louder than any scream. You raised them to stand alone, now stand tall. Yourself, there was a time when every step they took needed your hand, when they clung to you for safety, for guidance, for comfort. You taught them to speak, to walk, to dream. You held their hands through every fall, wiped their tears, encouraged them to rise again. And you did it all without expecting anything in return, just hoping one day they'd become strong enough to walk the world on their own. Now they're standing tall. They have jobs, families, lives of their own. But here you are, feeling small, not because you failed, but because they no longer seem to need you. They don't call as often. They don't visit like they used to. And in the quiet of your room, you wonder, did I raise them to forget me? But here's the truth you need to remember with all the strength in your soul. You didn't raise them to cling to you forever. You raised them to stand on their own, and they did. That means you succeeded. So now the next step is this. You must learn to stand tall too. This stage of life, not the end, it's a new beginning. It's not about loneliness, it's about rediscovery. You spent decades building others. Now it's time to rebuild yourself, to nourish your soul, to return to the dreams and passions you once set aside, because you are more than just a parent. You are still you, the person who once had dreams, passions, interests, and energy to share with the world. Yes, their absence is painful, but that space in your heart, you can fill it with purpose again. Think about the things you once loved but didn't have time for, the hobbies, the books, the gardens, the places you wanted to travel, the conversations you longed to have with people who truly listen. Now is your time, not to wait, not to wither, but to rise. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You already proved you could give your heart fully. You proved your strength through sacrifice. Now prove to yourself that your life still holds fire, beauty, and meaning even without the daily presence of your children. Stand tall not in pride, but in peace. Stand tall not because they see you, but because you see yourself. Let your days be filled not with waiting, but with doing. Let your moments be rich with fulfillment, not frustration. Let your life be a testament that love does not end when parenting feels complete. It transforms into something powerful, self-love and soulful living. There are others who need your wisdom, younger parents who need guidance, neighbors who need companionship, orphans who need kindness, friends who need laughter, and yes, you need yourself more than ever. Don't live in the shadow of what was. Walk boldly into what can be. You raised your children to build a life, now build yours with the same dedication. They will remember you. Maybe not now, maybe not in the way you hoped, but one day when life comes full circle, they will admire the way you stood tall even when left alone. Starting today, take one step toward yourself. Join a group, pick up a long-lost passion, visit a place you always dreamed of, or help someone who feels just as unseen as you do. Stand up not to seek attention, but to honor yourself. You raised them to live, now it's time you start living too. Let love flow even if it doesn't flow back. There comes a time in life when love feels one-sided, when the people you love the most stop showing it. In return, as a parent, there's no pain greater than watching your own children drift away, forgetting your sacrifices, ignoring your presence, or treating you like an obligation instead of a blessing. You gave them love without condition. You worked when you were tired. You fed them when your stomach was empty. You gave them warmth, care, direction, and most importantly, your heart. And now the silence is deafening. They don't call. They don't ask how you are. Sometimes they speak with frustration, as if you're a burden, and that stings deeper than any wound. You might ask yourself, why keep loving them when it's not returned? Why should I care when they clearly don't? Because love isn't about keeping score. Love is about staying true to who you are, not who they became. And you, dear parent, are not built for bitterness. You are built for strength. You are built for patience. You are built for a kind of love that doesn't expire when it's forgotten. It becomes even more powerful. Let your love flow. Let it heal, not hurt. Let it soften you, not harden you. Why? Because unconditional love isn't weakness, it's your greatest legacy. Your children may not see it now. The world might overlook it. But the kind of love that keeps giving without resentment becomes a quiet miracle. It teaches without preaching. It inspires without forcing. One day, maybe years from now, your children will face a moment in their lives where they feel alone. And when they search their hearts for strength, they will remember yours. They will remember the gentle way you forgave, the grace you held, the warmth you never withheld even when theirs faded. And in that moment, your love will come back to them like a river, silently, powerfully, and fully. You see, love that flows without condition is never wasted. It flows through generations. It becomes stories, prayers, memories, and whispers in the dark when someone needs it most. And right now, even if you feel empty, you are still the source of something eternal. Love them, even in silence. Pray for them, even if they never ask. Bless them, even if they forget to thank you. Because when you keep your heart open, you stay free, free from hate, free from regret, free from the chains of they should have, and I deserved, and why me. The moment you release the need for them to return what you gave, you become powerful beyond words. You see, the greatest parents are not the ones who controlled or demanded, they're the ones who loved with open hands. Let your love be like a candle, even if no one notices the light. It still brightens the room. Let your love be like rain, even if it's unappreciated. It still helps things grow. Let your love be like a seed buried, maybe forgotten, but one day it will bloom in places you never imagined. You don't need recognition to validate your love. You don't need applause to feel meaningful. You don't need constant return to prove your worth. You are enough because your love is enough. Today, stop waiting for the return of something you already gave freely. Let go of the need for payback. Instead, let your love be your freedom. Write a letter even if you don't send it. Say a prayer even if they never hear it. Give love not to be remembered, but to remain at peace. Because in the end, the world may forget 1,000 names, but it never forgets a parent who loved deeply, patiently, and without limits. That is the kind of love that lives forever. You still matter, and you always will. So if you're a parent sitting in silence today wondering where the love went, wondering why the voices that once called you mama or papa now barely say a word, I want you to know something deeply true. You still matter. And you always will. You mattered when you held them through their fears. You mattered when you worked late to pay for school. You mattered when your hands trembled from exhaustion, but you still made dinner. You mattered when you let go so they could fly even if they never looked back. And you matter now. Yes, your children may have forgotten the details, but the love, the impact, the lessons, they live on in them whether they say it or not. Don't let this chapter of loneliness define your story. Let it refine your soul. Walk with dignity even when no one's watching. Speak with kindness even when it goes unheard. Love even when it's not returned, because that kind of love never dies. It becomes legacy. To every mother, every father, every grandparent who's ever felt invisible, I see you. And more importantly, God sees you. Your sacrifices are written in eternity, even if they go unnoticed here. So don't close your heart. Don't close your spirit. Don't shrink because others can't see your light. Stand tall, smile softly, and keep living not for them but for you, because your story is not over. It's still being written with strength, with grace, with unstoppable love. If this message touched your heart, don't just keep it inside. Share it with a parent who needs to hear it. Leave a comment with your story. Let others know they're not alone. And most of all, do something beautiful for yourself today. You've done enough for everyone else. Now it's your turn. Subscribe for more uplifting stories and messages, because your heart deserves to be heard. You are not forgotten. You are not alone, and your love will never be wasted.